Hey everybody, it's back, the NCAA Tournament. And you know what that means? It's time to fill out a bracket. And man, did I miss this last year. I mean, we all know what happens. I really don't need to get into that. And, but it's back, so hey. Cheers to that. Got my Hen House IPA here. Cheers to that. And let's go ahead and just jump into this. And for the record right now, what's going on here? What is going on here? Hold up. Okay, for the record, I don't have a printer anymore, so we're going to have to do this on here, and I got this screen capture here. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, what do I want to say about this year's tournament? Well, you can't see it here. You can't see the rest of the bracket here, but there's one team that we see every tournament that isn't in this tournament at all. Can you guess what that is? And there's probably another one that I'm not thinking of, but Duke isn't here anymore. Can you believe that? That's crazy. But they sort of had a down year, and obviously the Cameron Crazies couldn't, join in the action, so there's that as well. They couldn't get that, home court advantage. Anyways, let's jump into this with the West Regional. I think this right over here is Norfolk State / that's the 16 matchup between Norfolk State and Appalachian State. Gonzaga is easily going to win whoever wins that, so that one's not even going to matter. And on this thing, I'm using ESPN's bracket. I can't actually pick these play-in games, so... Mizzou and Oklahoma, that's interesting. That's an 8-9 matchup right over here. I'm going to pick, I'll just pick Mizzou. Creighton Ucsb. Now, Creighton was a team in last year's tournament that was projected to be a 2 seed, and I was actually going to take the risk and pick the 15 to beat them, which I have not yet successfully picked the 15 over a 2 yet. I've taken the risk and done it before, but I haven't gotten it right, obviously. But luckily, those 2 seeds I've predicted to lose to the 15 seeds have actually, they've actually lost in the next round, which is kind of crazy. I'm going to pick Creighton. And Virginia right now, this Virginia versus Ohio. Now Virginia is dealing some COVID issues, and they might not even be able to play in this game from I hear. So I'm going to pick Ohio for the upset for those reasons, and also because I don't feel like I don't feel like we're going to see Virginia get very far in the tournament after they won the whole thing. The last time we were able to have the tournament, USC versus the winner of Wichita and Drake. I'm going to pick USC. Kansas sort of had a disappointing year. The Blue Bloods just aren't as strong anymore. There was an article out that said Duke, UNC, Kansas, and UCLA well, 3 of those 4 teams are in the tournament, and as I mentioned, Duke isn't in the tournament anymore. I'm going to pick Kansas to beat Eastern Washington. I'm going to go with Oregon over VCU. I don't know who's coaching VCU anymore. It's Shaka Smart's at Texas. And I'm going to pick Iowa over Grand Canyon, who is in the tournament for the first time ever. I'm going to pick Gonzaga to beat Mizzou. I'm going to pick Creighton to beat Ohio. And then I'm going to pick USC to beat Kansas. USC's got Evan Mobley, who is a big-time NBA prospect. And I'm going to pick Iowa to beat Oregon. Iowa has National Player of the Year candidate Luka Garza. And I'm I'm gonna pick Iowa over USC. That's gonna be a pretty cool matchup right there. Evan Mobley versus Luka Garza, and Gonzaga to beat Creighton, and down goes Luka Garza in this Elite Eight matchup, and Gonzaga will be my pick in the Final Four for this region. All right, we got Baylor versus Hartford. Now the Hartford coach is all like, "Oh, it's divine intervention that we're going to make the tournament." Well, he's not going to get very far in the tournament. As I'm picking Baylor. Now Wisconsin versus UNC is a tough pick. I'm feeling Wisconsin though. I would like to mention I'm no expert in picking games. This is just something I enjoy doing. I just enjoy filling out brackets. And then here, I'm going to pick 12 seed Winthrop to beat Villanova, because Villanova's missing one of their guards. I just don't remember who. So I'm going to pick Winthrop for the upset. And Villanova's a bit of a disappointment this year too. I thought they'd be a lot better for this. In fact, before the season started, I was predicting them as a Final Four team. I'm going to pick Purdue over North Texas. I'm going to pick Texas Tech over Utah State. Of course, I'm going to pick Arkansas over Colgate. And by the way, my two teams are Arkansas and San Diego State. I've been a Razorback fan since the Darren McFadden days. That's football, of course, by the way, but I've grown attached to their basketball team as well. And San Diego State is and they're also in the tournament too, so we're going to get to them later on. I'm going to pick Virginia Tech over Florida. I'm going to pick Ohio State over Oral Roberts. Baylor's going to beat Wisconsin, and Winthrop's Cinderella run is going to end here. I'm going to pick Arkansas. My phone just went off. I'm going to pick Arkansas over Texas Tech. And then I'm going to probably shouldn't do this. No, I'm picking Ohio State. I'm going to pick Ohio State. I thought about Virginia Tech over Ohio State. Ohio State could actually go pretty far in this year's tournament. I'm going to pick Baylor over Purdue, and I'm going to pick Arkansas over Ohio State. That's going to be a tough one for my Razorbacks, but I'm going to go ahead and pick them. And, man, I can't pick them to go to the Final Four, though, unfortunately, because I just think Baylor is just too good. They got all that shooting, and I'm going to have to go with them to represent the Final Four in the South region. And moving on. I'm going to pick Illinois over Drexel. And I'm going to go with Sister Jean's team over Georgia Tech. Tennessee versus Oregon State. Oregon State's a 12 seed. Interesting. I guess they just barely got in this year. I'm picking Tennessee, who I thought would be a lot better coming into this tournament. But, they were one of my picks to win it all before the season started. And they come in as a 5 seed, which is kind of unfortunate, but oh well. I'm going to pick Oklahoma State over Liberty, although I think that could be close. I'll pick San Diego State over Syracuse. And I'll pick West Virginia over Morehead State. Now, Clemson, I've been hanging out with a lot of Clemson fans lately because of a buddy of mine. I'll pick them over Rutgers, and then I'm going to pick Houston over Cleveland State. And why not? I'll pick Luke Clemson. I'm going to pick West Virginia to beat my alma mater, San Diego State. I'll take Tennessee over Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State has the guy that might be the number one prospect or number one pick in this year's NBA draft in Cade Cunningham, but I think Tennessee is just too good. I think they're finally going to show their potential in this year's in the tournament. So I'm going to pick Illinois over Sister Jean's team, Loyola Chicago. And this is going to be the first 1 seed I have going down. I just really like Tennessee. I think they're due for a Final Four appearance. I had them in the Final Four a couple of years ago and they lost the Sweet 16. So there's that. And I'm going to pick West Virginia over Clemson. And I'm going to pick Tennessee, since they are due for a Final Four appearance to get to the Final Four. And that's one thing I got to mention to you, is that I will never pick an all Final Four, an all number 1 Final Four. I will never pick an all number 1 Final Four. Even if I really, really like all 4 teams. I just can't do it. And one problem I have with picking the NCAA tournament is I tend to pick too many upsets. Well, this year I'm not going to come anywhere near upset heavy, but I do so far have a 12 and a 13 seed advancing to the second round, but that's actually going to be it. And we're going to go ahead and move on to the East Regional. Michigan this is the winner of Mount St. Mary's and Texas Southern. I'm going to pick Michigan, obviously. LSU and St. Bonaventure. I'm going to pick St. Bonaventure. I think LSU might be, they might be drained from that physical match with Alabama in the SEC championship game. So I'm going to pick St. Bonaventure for the upset. I'm going to pick Colorado over Georgetown. And I'm going to pick Florida State, who was, before last year's tournament got canceled, was going to be one of my Final Four picks, because I think they're due for an appearance. Leonard Hamilton is like 72, 73 years old, and he's done a tremendous job with Florida State, and they're loaded with size. I mean, they got a whole bunch of tall players. They got a couple 7'2" guys. I'm gonna pick them over UNC Greensboro, and then I'm gonna pick. This is kind of a risk. I'm gonna pick the winner of this play-in game, even though we can't pick the play-in games. Honestly, I don't really know who's going to win that one, UCLA or Michigan State. Actually, I think UCLA is going to win it, actually. And whoever wins that game I'm going to have them beat BYU, because why not? I'll take the risk. I'll have Shaka Smart in Texas beating Abilene Christian. I'll take Maryland over UConn. And Alabama over Iona. And Alabama is no longer just a football school. They're kicking ass in like every sport right now. Women's basketball should be in their tournament. Men's basketball is obviously, we're already talking about them. Baseball's pretty good. Softball's pretty good. You know what? That's the same thing with Arkansas. It's just that football just isn't there yet. But that's sort of a topic for another day. I'm going to pick Alabama to beat Maryland. And I'm gonna pick the winner of this game to go to Sweet 16. That is such a huge risk because we don't know who's gonna win that game. But I'm just gonna do it because I'm looking at that. I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan State can make it that far. I wouldn't be surprised if UCLA can make it to the Sweet 16. Honestly, whoever wins that game, I think could get pretty deep. So I'm just gonna pick that play-in. I'll pick Florida State over Colorado, which I think could be a pretty good matchup. I'll pick Michigan over Florida State, and I'm gonna have another 1 seed lose right here. I mean, Juwan Howard's done an amazing job this year with Michigan, but Florida State is just due for a tournament appearance. I'll pick Alabama right here because I think it's too much of a risk on my bracket, even though I know that I'm not going to have a perfect bracket ever. I mean, I think the only way you're going to ever pick a perfect bracket is if somebody makes that book from Back to the Future, the World Sports Almanac or whatever it's called. If somebody makes that, and you know the movie. You just buy that book, or make that book 5 years from now and then just time travel back here and make your tournament picks. That's probably the only way you're going to get a get a perfect bracket. And I'm going to pick Florida State over the Crimson Tide. So my final 4 teams, as I've mentioned, are Gonzaga, Florida State, Baylor, and Tennessee. Now, the 2 teams I'm going to pick to be in the national championship have been the 2 best teams this season, and they are Gonzaga and Baylor. And for this championship, I'm going to pick Gonzaga. They're due for a championship. They finally made the Final Four a couple years ago. It was actually 2017 when I correctly predicted them to be in the championship game and lose that championship game to North Carolina. But this year, they're going to win it all. Because, Baylor is just really good. But Gonzaga has more size, and I think they can easily keep up with Baylor's shooting. And I'm not good at picking scores. I'm going to say 87-85. Thank you for watching, and I hope this all recorded. I'm pretty sure it did. And there's some stuff shaking because somebody's running the washing machine next door, but that's a whole nother topic. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and we'll see you next year for this. Goodbye.